for the person that has more combo decks rather than the anti-aggro decks. And in this case, that happens to be TIZS, I believe, because of that Anaconda Druid. The alignment in there can really punish GivePLZ's lineup, especially this OTK Demon Hunter. But for now, we're going to start with the Demon Hunter versus Quest Shaman, which, if you guys didn't notice, this is card for card the same Demon Hunter as prior to the nerfs, which is really surprising to me, because if anybody is running OTK Demon Hunter, it feels like they're more likely to include glides now.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you may have seen, if you are a connoisseur of bad takes, Meaty's tweet that it is still a tier S deck or a tier 1 archetype. Obviously, I'm trolling Meaty somewhat, but I think it's very surprising. It's a bold claim to say that it's a tier 1 deck. It's a much bolder claim to actually bring OTK Demon Hunter in the exact same form to Grandmasters. Not something I expected at all. But we'll see how it performs against this Quest Shaman. A bit of a weird deck, because in some ways, as you can see here, yeah, it's an aggro deck. He's getting a bunch of stats online as quick as possible. He's going to be pushing a lot of damage, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, and that is where I think things could get difficult for the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, the Quest Shaman, I feel its early pushes are very easy for OTK Demon Hunter to deal with. Immolation Aura, Fellscream Blast, you can easily get rid of the boards and recoup whatever health you lost from the early aggression. But what things, or where things have changed compared to last meta, is that Demon Hunter can no longer just immediately kill you with the quest first 2 ticks of completion. It's really difficult to do so, even though we see GivePLZ here gets 2 discounts. Il'gynoth is still extremely expensive. So for Demon Hunter to actually deal their own lethal, I feel they have to rely on Kurtrus, which comes down earliest turn 6. And that can give the Quest Shaman perhaps a window to come back with their own Brucon online. It could be a veritable battle of the quest rewards.
I mean, TIZS obviously missing on the nature spell is a little awkward, but he did still get an overload spell, and with investment opportunity, he's getting towards that Brucan relatively quickly. He's going to need a bit more value first, obviously, be it in the form of Instructor Fireheart, another investment opportunity, whatever it may be, to draw through his deck a little bit quicker. But I think this is a close one, because while TIZS is getting towards his own quest completion, GivePLZ is getting towards his own OTK quicker than I thought he would. You know, he hit the Il'gynoth down to 5. It's still more expensive than it cost a few days ago at standard mana cost. But with the Arcanist as well, you know, combo potential is within his horizon.
It's true, it's not necessarily a Kurtrus combo, but it also still requires more combo pieces, right? Because if we're looking at the 36, then you need still 2 Morgs and a Fellscream Blast, which, if that's all full cost, costs 11 mana with this current hand, which does not get there. So GivePLZ's game plan overall will heavily depend on what kind of discounts he gets, but more often than not, I expect that Kurtrus will be necessary for him to actually deal lethal if he thinks that's necessary. And I do think it is necessary. I don't think you can just kind of win on board versus Quest Shaman the way you can versus Hunter sometimes by just sticking Morgs, because Shaman can discover quite a few removal spells. So at some point, I do think GivePLZ will have to assemble a combo, but for now, it's all about just dealing with this first couple waves of aggression.
And so he's approaching this matchup relatively greedily, I would argue. On that previous turn, turn 3, he played I-Beam, and then he didn't play a 2-mana Acrobatics. He just Hero Power passed instead of getting some card draw done. Do you think that's a reasonable approach in this matchup, where you save all your card draw specifically for the quest completion? Or should he be a bit more liberal with how he's throwing everything down?
I think it's fine to be a bit greedy with this. Shaman's burst in the early game, especially this version with no Doomhammer and such, is quite limited. You don't have to be worried about dying from 20 plus until Brucon has hit the board. So I think it's fine for GivePLZ to keep drawing like this. He's gotten some pretty good discounts once again, but I don't think this Fellscream is going to be safe for the combo, because he does have to start clearing some things now, and it looks pretty decent with the Talented Arcanist.
Yes, I think you maybe search for some card draw first, because if possible, again, because mana is so tight on the combo, that Fellscream Blast looks pretty good to actually go for lethal to me. So you could start with Acrobatics, say, to try and find that Immolation Aura, but then once again, that's hurting the Kurtrus game plan, because you're using some of your card draw without completing that quest.
And I think it's more realistic to assume that even if you do save all of these combo cards, like the earliest you can get the combo, let's say with a Moarg, is like turn 8. That's still quite far away. And so GivePLZ just has to be concerned about living for now. So I think it's fine for him to just deal with the board for now. Even though he's using some discounted combo pieces, he will be able to get cheaper things from Kurtrus later on. And so making sure you save card draw to get Kurtrus in the first place, I believe is the best way to approach it.
And this is pretty clean in the end. Because of the mana discounts, he's not afraid of overdrawing, and he gets Kurtrus completed, I believe, here. You know, picking up that second Marg before you play Kurtrus isn't ideal, of course, but combo is within his sights, I think, here. If he plays it, draws the other Moarg, this is actually looking okay for GivePLZ.
Yeah, it's very doable, but the charge call for TIZS is a big deal. 6 cost minions. I generally actually think 5 cost is better for Shaman because of the Shaman specific cards like Earth Elemental and Raz compared to the 6 cards are like Fire Elemental and the Lurker below, but the neutral cards very close. So ends up with a Katrana Prester, not bad whatsoever. And GivePLZ is once again thinking about whether he can get away with playing Kurtrus this turn. 10 represented for GivePLZ. Maximum burst, I'd say, is like Note Taker with double bolts, but then you also have to think about Discover potential.
Yeah, Fireheart is the scary one because, of course, Wind Fury would then be, well, still not lethal, but it's getting a lot closer, and you have to do have to start being pretty scared there. But I think, you know, because of that fact, like even when you factor in Wind Fury, it's still not lethal. I kind of think you could have got away with just going for the Kurtrus there.
It's super close. GivePLZ here erring on the side of caution, but the amount of caution is honestly a little bit surprising to me, not just using a Moarg, but also his last talented Arcanist, which means that if he is going to go for the combo, it's gonna be reliant on the other Moarg that's left on his deck, hopefully costing 0, because if that comes off the top prior to Kurtrus, GivePLZ could be looking at some major trouble.
Well, deviating away from Novice Zapper Charged Call, I believe that would have summoned the 3/3 off the quest and given him a 7-drop, but admittedly 7 drops are not the best compared to 8 drops.
And leaving a Moarg on board is risky business, to say the least.
That's fair.
It's gonna go off with the Chain Lightning. There's the Wind Fury you were talking about, but I am looking at the Lightning Bolt just to get another cycle through, potentially, and complete the quest like you were saying.
Yeah, this looks good. We're getting the 3/3, as you're saying. An extra damage off the Lightning Bolt, I'd say is probably worth it than the potential to just get one more card off of the Fireheart. And it sets up for an 8-mana Charged Call next turn.
That's true. I'm not sure if I like the order for the extra damage because would you rather play, say, another Lightning Bolt rather than the 3/2? Maybe not, maybe not. So if TIZS is saying there's no 1-drop he can get from Katrana that he'd rather play immediately than the Novice Zapper, then this makes a ton of sense. Okay. Kurtrus looks pretty clean here. He's gonna go off with the Acrobatics now. Only 6 cards left in the deck for GivePLZ, and he picks up 2 immediate playables that might have been guaranteed, I think, except he wouldn't want to immediately play the other Moarg, so I think this is still a lucky outcome for GivePLZ. Okay, the Guild Trader would not have been playable.
Yeah. And so now in terms of the pieces left in the deck, I believe it's pretty slim. The Moarg Artificer, of course, being the big one here. There is, however, no more philosophy. So the ability to actually get enough combo pieces here is a little tight, but I guess with just the Guild Trader, Moarg, Fellscream Blast, it still just gets there with perfect mana utilization on 10.
Yeah, the Guild Trader is the missing piece of the puzzle here. The cool thing about tradable cards is that their discounts stack when you trade them back into the deck. So when he trades, I'd have to assume, the Guild Trader next turn, once again, it will eventually cost 0 when it comes back to his hand, which means that the full combo will just cost like 8 mana for GivePLZ.
Oh, this is a tough one. Are you ever picking Devourer? You have investment opportunity in hand, which maybe can get you another spell. Like,
I like it. You know what? I think TIZS senses that he's about to die soon. He needs to put together more pressure than a Plague Proto Drake. He knows that 8 health is difficult for GivePLZ to deal with at this point, with both Eye Beams used, and I mean, there's still another Moarg, but GivePLZ is saving it for his combo. So I think the Devourer is an out for TIZS here.
So if you were to go Spectral Sight, trade your Guild Trader, or do this first, I suppose. Yeah, you just want to set up that you have 100% lethal on the following turn, and you can't like bottom card Guild Trader to potentially lose. But I guess you can then trade the Peddler and still be fine.
Yeah, and he does still have Spectral Sight and the Sigil this turn. My concern is, how do you kill this 4/8 this turn? It's so scary!
Oh, it is scary. It is scary. You do have to be afraid of it, but the amount of cards he has to play to actually kill you is pretty high, right? There's only 6 damage on board.
The Devourer gets +2/+2 for every spell played, and the big thing is TIZS has seen Fireheart from GivePLZ has seen Fireheart from TIZS. So the amount of actual spells that can be played all at once in one turn is not as high as usual. The investment is a bit scary. Note Taker also could be scary. Guidance could be scary, but none of them scary enough that GivePLZ is willing to give up his own lethal on the next turn, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
And there it is, with some very efficient micro trading there from GivePLZ. He's able to get himself the 0 mana Guild Trader in the end, and sets up, as I see it, the guaranteed lethal combo next turn.
But for TIZS, presenting 6 on board plus the 3 from the Serpent Shrine portal, which is 9. So he needs to put together 12 damage, which is 6 spells played this turn for lethal. Can he do it? Depends on what comes off of this investment opportunity.
Yeah, what comes off this Serpent Shrine as well? Are there any cards that draw you more cards? Like Field Contact doesn't work off spells, obviously, is the annoying part. I
am unsure. But it looks like he's going to start off with Brukan so that he can get the double investment opportunities, but that leaves very little mana left to work with. I'm concerned.
It's so close. Oh my god, it's so close.
It is really close. If he gets Lightning Bolt! Wait, how much is this? I didn't count, but I think TIZS counted.
Okay, that is sick. That is so sick.
All right, TIZS.
The Arcane Devourer for the lethal. I think myself included and many other players would have just snap-picked the Proto Drake. It's like the best 8-drop. It's sticky, represents a lot of attack. Demon Hunter really struggles with those death rattles. But TIZS saw it. He saw the lines. His 1 out when GivePLZ had set up guaranteed lethal next turn. That was such a sick endgame.
Yeah, Dark, you said it. Don't put yourself in the group of people that would have snap-picked Proto Drake. You were saying, is it ever Devourer? And I think we kind of realized it at the same time, which is, of course, a lot later than TIZS still. But he found the out, right? That was the damage he needed in that one window where GivePLZ thought he was safe enough to just set up the guaranteed OTK. And don't get me wrong, I think it was correct for GivePLZ to do that, because if he had spent the resources clearing the Devourer, he wouldn't have had his own lethal and probably just eventually lost to Brukan. But that stroke of genius from TIZS into the inspired choice to go for Brukan before seeing what comes off of the investment opportunity is what gave TIZS the win there. He probably did the math and said that there's not enough outcomes from investment that give him lethal immediately, but the Brukan gives him Lightning Bolt from investment as a lethal out.
So well calculated. I absolutely love to see it. And I mean, a couple of things to take away. One, obviously, well played TIZS. It was a good endgame. But also just the impact of the nerf. Like, GivePLZ got a discounted Il'gynoth, double discounted a talented Arcanist, a discounted Fell Screen Blast. It still wasn't enough to get there in those early turns. You know, we could argue, I suppose, about his willingness to go for a very, very cheap or a very liberal use of the talented Arcanist to clear a board earlier on, when he could have just gone with a tempo Brukan, sorry, a tempo Kurtrus, and accept that maybe he was going to take a little bit of damage but then reclaim it afterwards. But either way, I think, you know, he realized there was still enough damage in the deck with the interaction of shuffling or trading not being shuffling and being able to stack your discounts on the Guild Trader. He knew he still had a win condition, but it was just one turn too late.
It's interactions 101 for me, Derek, because I also just realized that with Brukan, you play your spells twice, so you buff your Arcane Devourer twice. That thing had 12 attack by the end of it. Maybe I was even overestimating that you needed 6. With Brukan, you don't nearly need as much. TIZS had well over lethal there, but in the end, it pans out that GivePLZ is going to go for his own Quest Shaman in the mirror. Once again, this is LHS, so TIZS is going again on the Quest Shaman.
Which doesn't bode particularly well, does it? If your best chance of taking the matchup is a mirror, that usually implies that your remaining deck is going to be worse than a 50-50, unless you have some very specific strategy that you're saving your final deck for, which most of the time is not really a thing in Hearthstone or in last year of standing overall. So it's a big match here for GivePLZ. He really wants to get the win here, or he is looking like it's going to be a 1-1 week. Oh, sorry, a 1-2 week to start things off, down with only 1 point after the high of winning the previous week.
Yeah, that's gonna be real rough there, especially since GivePLZ, I think he thought that he won the flip on the Q order on the very first game. I think he felt favored as the OTK Demon Hunter, which is a reasonable assumption even post-nerfs. The Kurtrus can reasonably get down and still discount enough things that you get the combo there. But now, if GivePLZ has lost a favorable and is forced to queue up this 50-50, things are not looking good. He doesn't have the mage in the lineup. His warlock got banned, so there really is no good favorable queue into the Quest Shaman.
So getting into this particular game, how are we feeling about both of these hands? Like, looking at the mulligan stats, you're looking at the nuts being Lightning Bloom most of the time, in addition to like Feral Spirits, all the tempo overload cards. Neither player has those cards, or didn't have until the Lightning Bloom was drawn off the Dungeoneer. So how are we feeling about either side?
Well, in the opening, pretty even, but of course, you pointed it out, the Lightning Bloom can get you so much tempo in the early game. I will say this matchup is perhaps not as cut and dry as it is on ladder, because a lot of people have just cut landslides here and there. But I believe GivePLZ is running double landslide in his, and that could come to be a major role later on, right? With some spell damage that can function as a clear on several Feral Spirits.
Okay. TIZS here with some pretty powerful value options, should he want. I was, in a way, kind of looking at Wind Fury, weirdly enough, just with a Canal Slugger. Either represents a lot of damage or a lot of healing and clear potential. But Guidance is the more kind of sensible pick, I suppose. Progresses his quest, gets him to that Brukan when you can really start just blowing out the game.
Right. I think every time I tried to go super aggro in the mirror and completely ignored my quest, I get blown out by 1 or 2 discovers of any healing option or clearing option, and Perpetual Flame is another big card in the matchup. So I really like that TIZS is going for a balanced approach of completing the quest. I will say that the time you can go super aggro is when your charge calls are around 8 mana or higher. 8 charges on them, and you can get the 8 cost minions. Those are the size of minion that Quest Shaman really struggles to clear, and the first one to land those is in a very strong position.
Gorgeous use of the quest completion there from TIZS to be able to overload or erase 4 overloaded mana crystals there to set up for a much stronger play next turn. It could even be Guidance Charge Call, or as you were saying, because 5-cost cards can be very good, maybe Guidance first even. Oh, Charge Call first, sorry, and then Guidance. But either way, got himself in a very aggressive position, far ahead on the board. And he can do both. As you were saying, you don't want to ignore board control, and you don't want to ignore quest completion and go full aggro. But TIZS can go aggro and quest completion at the same time.
Yeah. Just doubling up on the guidances with Note Taker is a very common play on Quest Shaman, as people realize that it gives you so much value. Like, the big problem with Quest Shaman when people first looked at the deck is, I have to play all my spells to get Brukan, so what spells do I have left post Brukan to actually get the double benefit? With you playing Guidance to actually complete the quest, you make sure that you can complete it and have enough resources to benefit. So TIZS is winning on every front here. Resources, board, quest completion, it's looking really good.
However, if there can be a Novice Zapper picked up, I suppose, for GivePLZ, this landslide could be enough to get there. Or an Aegwin for spell damage. That's a board clear if you want it.
It's true, but I think GivePLZ is just having a quick look at the spells at his deck, because there's also a High Abyss Allura here, so let's see what she is going to proc. Okay, pass on enemies. Perfect. Is it? Well, he floats some mana, but sure. I guess he just trades back the Guild Trader he got from studies.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, holds on to the Zapper plus Landslide. I mean, that worked out pretty well. You're not going to be upset with that one.
But for TIZS, he has plenty of resources. Granted, none of them conveniently deal with this board. And with only 1 mana to work with post Fireheart, I don't think that she's going to be the option here. TIZS just going to load up some Feral Spirits, get rid of the Aegwin. And he is very, very close to... Or is he just done? Oh, he's just done. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's just a straight up Brukan. Those early double guidances, the Lightning Bloom, all too much. And now he can just go Brukan, Charged Call, and I think, unless there's some very aggressive plays from GivePLZ, that should just be enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, for now, GivePLZ has a hold of the board, right? And if this turn from Giz is just Brukan, and I'm pretty sure it will be, GivePLZ maybe can put together some outs. It's really hard now that Bloodlust has left Standard to get enough burst from a board sticking as Shaman. But we'll see what GivePLZ can manage here, because he knows he's losing the resource battle by a lot.
Well, depending how big those charged calls are, I can't obviously quite see. But I'd guess like at least 6. That could have been a very, very big turn there for GivePLZ. But he's holding back, going with the Fireheart first. Gets a brilliant first spell there, and even No Fin can stop us. That looks pretty good.
Rockbiter's also interesting because you leave yourself mana to play 1 more spell, but surely the No Fin pushes more damage in the long run. Problem is it doesn't really get that many things out of range of Perpetual Flame, and honestly, nothing's out of range of Perpetual Flame anymore after Brukan because it just does cast twice, so if anything has 6 health or less, it's all gonna get...
And GivePLZ accepting that as a probability at this point rather than even a possibility. And just going with sneaking in some extra damage while he can.
Looking at the Molten Blast, I don't think GivePLZ ever gets there on value. Okay, never mind, he's taking the Perpetual Flame. I was just thinking, maybe if you can get another Lightning Bolt with some burst, just hope that they don't get any healing. TIZS does have at the least the Tidal Surge if he wants to heal for a bit. But this board first needs some addressing, which Perpetual Flame will take care of quite easily. Or he can just go Tidal Wave. That's even better. Tidal Wave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what you go for here. Everything is so strong. Like, you heal for 1,000,000 with just the Tidal Wave, as you were saying. And then you can still clear and summon a 10-drop if you want off the Charge Call, which when we look through the numbers, each 10-drop is a 50-50 to get. You can get some very, very juicy options here off of this Charge.
Derek, it's 2 10-drops.
It's 2. Oh my god.
Oh, the Scrapyard. That's right, there's only 6 possible options.
Scrapyard? My goodness.
Maybe.
Aggressive. I respect it.
More damage on board. Big minion, go face, says TIZS. But forgive, please. I don't know how big his charged calls are, but if they're at 10 as well, he can maybe get Dark Moon Rabbit. There's no way they're at 10. His quest isn't even done. Yeah.
I mean, they'd be at 6, right, if there's 5 quest completions done, I think. Which can get you some decent stuff, but I don't think it's enough to fight back against all of this pressure.
Not seeing it.
Get up to 8 with just playing a Perpetual Flame for the hell of it. And summon 2 8-drops.
Yeah, maybe he could go for Stranglethorn Tiger, double stealth on 5, something like that. And if somehow he lives the next turn, maybe the Perpetual Flames can clear the taunt, but it's 2 layers of taunt, so I am struggling to think of any outs. Looks like he's gonna go for 7s then?
I think this might be 8s, but either way, yeah, he's just ramping them up a little bit more.
Oh, 8.
Seeing what he gets. Missile, okay. Alec here, okay. Again, it's a bit of taunt, or he's going with the Proto-Drake even to push back. But he has to appreciate he's dead quite a lot of the time here.
Even just the Vivid Spores is disgusting here.
That's true. That is filth.
Is there immediate lethal? I don't think so, especially not with this mana restriction. but I just want to see the Vivid. It's so sick. You cast it twice. It's like a cube on your 7/7.
Yeah, that is actually infinite Scrapyard Colossus Scissors.
Cube Shaman, the new deck on the block.
No littering.
Ooh. Of course,
Just
this
saying.
is still reasonable from TIZS. He knows that he's probably only scared of some crazy chain of burst killing him from here, so going...
Yay!
Okay, he did it anyway. All right.
He's doing it even better. Okay, TIZS. You are the best. You are redeemed in my eyes. Yeah, there.
Oh, we didn't even get to see it multiply.
But in the end, GivePLZ just never even getting a foot in the door in that game. He was just behind right from the get-go. It shows, the power of Lightning Bloom in that matchup. The fact that you get all the upside with none of the downside makes you even wonder how Innovate in its old form existed for so many years in Hearthstone, because while it was pretty busted, Druid was pretty good back then, I guess. Because, again, with all the value from the guidance, the uber-quick quest completion that was afforded to him, because of all his card draw and generation off the Diligent Note-Taker and the Dungeoneer, just nothing that GivePLZ can do. Brutal game for him.
True. It's why a lot of people say the first proc of the Shaman quest is the best proc, sometimes even better than BrewCon as a whole, because of how much tempo you simply get. And we see all sorts of different builds of quest shamans trying to take advantage of that first proc, running Doom Hammers, running Earth Elementals, because you can take that 4 overload as long as you finish the first proc all at once, and it all goes away. That first wave of minions gave TIZS the momentum to finish his quest, even going for super greedy lines with no taker into guidance, which is, you know, most of the time very, very low tempo, but because he had that strong start, was able to never let go of his advantage. And it means that GivePLZ is stuck only with the Miracle Rogue now to attempt to sweep all of TIZS's remaining decks.
And even though that sounds like a very unrealistic possibility, am I crazy for thinking that he maybe miscued his decks here? Like, I think Miracle Rogue up against Quest Shaman, you know, yes, Quest Shaman can do some very, very powerful things, but they tend to do them a little bit slower than when Miracle Rogue can do them. You know, maybe it's not an especially analytical point to say if you go Octobot plus Field Contact, you're going to win that game. But even outside of that, just with like Foxy Fraud, even just Octobot with a bunch of other small minions, like you can make some powerful plays, and there's not that much AoE in the Shaman deck to counteract that.
Okay, that last sentence is where our opinions diverge. I think a single Perpetual Flame completely blows up the Zoo game plan of Rogue. Although I think it's very fair to say that Zoo is not Rogue's only game plan. They can start off by going Octobot and very wide on the board, and then transition over to the old Mankrik, Find the Wife, /Jandis, /Kazakus, all that good stuff we know from last month or 2 months ago, and eventually try and get there with Wicked Stab. So by no means do I think this is a blowout matchup, but I do think Shaman has the tools to fight back against the average draw from Rogue for sure.
Fair point. Fair point. As here we see the mulligan for GivePLZ. It looks okay, but I'm wondering if it's one of those instances where, you know, as you laid out, maybe not the best matchup or not a super favorable one at any rate. Are you supposed to hard mull for the Nuts hand with that Octobot and Field Contact, or do you just hold on to Neophyte? Maybe their deck is mostly spells.
I do love the Neophyte keep. I was going to hear an argument for maybe just keeping Foxy because it's like a coin into Neophyte /Foxy, or the other way around, depending on whether or not you get a combo activation from the Foxy. But GivePLZ just going for Neophyte alone, I think, is very reasonable. Ends up with an even better hand, I would say, because of the Octobot. But the Neophyte coming down around turn 3 locks out the best potential turn from Shaman, which is usually Lightning Bloom into first proc quest, and then have a whole lot of tempo on board.
Interesting game already getting going. TIZS has some powerful plates coming up. It's... Yeah, okay. He could still have played either the Feral Spirits or the Serpent Shrine there with Lightning Bloom. And because he had the Bolt at the end, he could have unlocked his mana crystals, but he just takes the slightly slower route, which is perfectly fair enough. It does mean that he has some strong plays once the quest completion kicks in.
Yeah, this way around he can go Bloom into one of the 3 costs and then play the other 3 costs. But of course he's deviating from that because he's seen an Octobot, which means he does end up floating a mana here, but not the end of the world, right? Rather than giving Give Please 5 extra mana or something from his perspective.
Yeah, the deleting of a previously locked mana crystal means he gets hero power in, which, you know, heals up his Slogger in for 1. It's not completely useless, but you're not wrong. It's a bit of a mana inefficient play when you look at the cards he could have played from hand. But now again, Give Please getting that kind of hand that, you know, it's not bad necessarily. He could keep up for the moment with Brain Freeze and the Guardian Orc Merchant, but it's not a game-winning hand quite yet. He needs something more impressive.
And it looks like he's going to step the One Thief to find better removal, first of all, and maybe just hold off on the Secret Passage as long as he can. The Flame Strike is a big one. I remember back in the day of Miracle Rogue Mirrors, this was a card that never started in the deck, but it always felt like it was an impactful possibility. And much the same against Quest Shaman, right? They love to go Feral Spirits, they love to play minions that have 3 to 4 health. Flame Strike looks like it's perfect to deal with those.
Okay, not a bad draw. TIZS again getting the kind of hand that can turbo through these quest completions.
Yeah, if he goes Perpetual Flame here, we're looking at 4 mana the next turn, which is still enough to play Serpent Shrine Portal, but either way, starting with Investment Opportunity. This looks perfect to me now. The Perpetual and the Feral can be played, but maybe he's just holding on to Perpetual for later on because rogue boards can surely get more threatening than this. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it's smart. He's still contesting this board, right? I mean, he's ahead on board, technically, as it currently stands, but that Perpetual Flame can swing back even the most lost of boards later on in the game. But you'd have to imagine 5 cost is being picked here from Give Please, as I think 1 cost is probably too low tempo, too low value even.
Yeah, I think low value is the argument here. Also, he has that Flame Strike to hold on to, so I like the idea of 5 cost to either like refill the board after you've had your turn of clearing, or potentially be a form of clearing to save Flame Strike for. The keyword choices were not great, though. He was offered neither Divine Shield nor Rush, which tend to be the highest tempo. But Lifesteal Deal 3 is not bad whatsoever. Yeah. Thank you, production.
It's okay. It's okay. He can make it work. Again, even stealth would have been pretty good when you have Tenwu, just so you can guaranteed keep it stealth and bounce it back, play it again. But either way, it's decent. It's pretty good. It lines up well against this board.
Okay, Give Please is a risk taker here. Yeah, I mean, obviously he had the option to trade Kazakas first, and then you have a guaranteed 3-1, which is sometimes non-existent if you get that roll from Give Please. But I think more often than not, he was supposed to like hit the 3-3 at least once, which was the best outcome. So unlucky.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would have been left with a 3-1 more often at the time. Like, especially the fact he didn't even Divine Shield and then attack into the 3-3 afterwards, as was the other play. He wanted to preserve this Golem, which does make sense because, as I was saying, this gives him a higher chance of playing Tenwu on it and then playing it again the turn after. But either way, these are not aggressive game-winning plays. This gives TIZS... hello?
A Nazmani?
Yeah, and all the time in the world to complete his quest, as that is a pretty bonkers 3-drop.
It really is. It looks like TIZS is only really going to play 1 more spell here, so it's only 1 discount, but just the health on this thing is a monster. I mean, Miracle Priest was a good matchup into Tempo Rogue Miracle Rogue back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, Flame Strike looks like it was saved for a situation like this, but maybe Give Please thinks I'm at 30, maybe I can hold out for even more development.
Yeah, I think you Flame Strike, you pray that they don't have a way to complete the quest and play Brukan on this turn, which pretty much has to be exactly Lightning Bloom. So you're probably safe from a super high pressure turn here, and then you go Passage and you try and just populate the board and win that way.
The TIZS is ready. Brukan can hit the board next turn, from which point the Rockbiter weapon dealing 6 now. Perpetual Flame, 6 AoE essentially. And whatever comes off the Marsh Spawn, potentially high threat as well. So Give Please. There's the field contact. He's been waiting for this for quite some time. But what's really good enough here? TIZS is at 30.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to see some kind of an Octobot hand and yourself procking it as well. Vanessa, I'm not really seeing it yet.
Vanessa gets Feral, not great. Okay, the train is going. Gonna have to be step Vanessa to continue it. Looks like GivePLZ is just not going to bother with the Octobot unless he gets nothing else from this draw.
Again, this is the kind of hand that, from GivePLZ's perspective, yeah, maybe it can get there. Next turn he can go Jandis, Tenwu Jandis for a massive board presence. He can maybe start setting up for a big Alex Straza combo. But even if he gets those big boards, double Tidal Wave will just delete essentially anything that he can develop. The double Perpetual Flame as well. I think TIZS might have just crossed the threshold here into being unbeatable.
I mean, this is why a lot of people are bringing Quest Shaman as their anti-aggro deck of choice, because it can so easily get rid of the early game threats, but it has this win condition in the late game, right? Just Brucon sticking in to generate threats means that they're not waiting to fatigue you and die to the Alex combo. They have ways to pressure you after they've killed your board. But here's the big push from GivePLZ. First generations were not good off of Jandis. These ones are better statted, but still not good enough against the hand we can see.
Yeah, certainly not game winning.
Well fought.
He can be giga overloaded with Perpetual Flame.
Doesn't even matter.
He's so close
So
to
far
lethal,
ahead.
actually. Depending on what comes off the Marsh Spawn, he can get lethal right now, because the Perpetual is a guaranteed clear on everything here, I believe, because it casts twice.
Right.
So there's currently 12 on board. The Rockbiter puts him to 18. So if he discovers another Rockbiter or something from the Marsh Spawn, it's GG, but he's trading first, so I guess not.
Or maybe just trying to overload one less mana crystal?
Maybe, but I don't see how this would change starting with Marsh Spawn.
I mean, I guess the thing that could happen is Perpetual Flame could theoretically go into the two minions that don't die, one after the other, and then you don't get a clear. Or maybe he's just going Tidal Wave and not even bothering with the Perpetual Flame.
I see.
Well, that's the big heal out of the way, right? So now GivePLZ can optimistically start focusing on his own lethal game plan, in which case you just start with field contact, keep drawing. Wow.
Or this. I
Okay.
like this a lot, actually. I
Okay.
mean, TIZS blew up his own board with this play, right? The Tidal Wave play. The 8/8. Pretty sticky.
It is pretty sticky.
To have all the toys in the world, but chooses to go Guidance. Fair enough.
Oh, is this
Wow.
just lethal now? With Serpent Shrine, Rockbiter, Rockbiter?
Yeah. 18.
Yeah. That's insane.
Rogue has to spend like 10 mana to deal 18. Okay, this is still quite a lot of mana spent, to be fair, but he went through a Marsh Spawn on the way.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous, and very well done to TIZS. A 3-0 sweep to start off the day, taking down not just any competitor as well, the winner of the previous week has been dethroned. There shall not be a repeat winner this week in Asia Pacific, but TIZS, he was just looking pretty good. I think he, we didn't see a wide aspect of decks from him that he was trying to pilot. It was just this Quest Shaman, obviously, but I think he knew it inside and out. He wasn't afraid to go for these very all-in plays at the start to get these quests completed a lot quicker, and it meant that he was always getting these very early Brucans that just blew his opponent out of the game.
Really impressive stuff. I think none more so than the very first game where he went for that Arcane Devourer, but still, even though the following games were less flashy, they were pretty clean. Again, I'm still unconvinced about the Tidal Wave over Perpetual Flame, but I guess it's true, you brought up a good point, it's not a guaranteed clear. The trade into Perpetual Flame still looked pretty clean to me, but maybe TIZS was saying if there is any out that I lose here, it's by being overloaded to Oblivion the next turn, so fair enough. Left himself a lot of flexibility to either clear or just find lethal on the very next turn. And all I have to say, Derek, is has your opinion on Quest Shaman changed at all?
This did look pretty good, I will admit, and my limited experience playing the deck was just bashing my head against a wall as Sottle drew Overgrowth into Celestial Alignment every single blooming game in practicing. There, TIZS did make it look a little bit more interesting. I think there was a lot of agency in his games, and even though he got very good draws for the most part, he optimized and took advantage of those of that good luck, as is the hallmark of a strong Hearthstone player. And so with Blitzchung and GivePLZ going out, it's an interesting group. Not necessarily what I would have expected, but at the same time, Gur has come in and performed very, very well. TIZS last season, although he didn't have the best performance, when we did see him, I think he was playing some pretty good Hearthstone, all things considered. So I don't want to take anything away from these two players. They will be going through to Saturday.